Okay, hello there. Welcome to this tutorial. I don't really know much about Blender, haven't used it much, so this is a tutorial for anyone who doesn't know this stuff, and for people who do, just bear with me for a moment while I struggle through all these applications. So you're going to need a few things to get started with this. Currently I'm using two different versions of Blender because the SDK isn't working with the latest version of Blender, and I need a copy attributes plugin that isn't available for 4.2, but 4.2.16 LTS is great for using with the No Man's Sky SDK import feature. You'll also need to have unpacked the game files in order to use the SDK to import 3D models from the game, but you can do this with any 3D models. So if you don't necessarily want a model from the game, you could skip the No Man's Sky SDK function, and you could just bring in any OBJ or any kind of file that Blender can open. The other thing you're going to need is the No Man's Sky Base Builder App. That'll be for importing and exporting details. So just make sure you have those too. So 4.2 is what I'll be using to import the model that I'm going to be using to demonstrate this. So you don't need to clear the workspace, because once we import, it's going to just start a new one. So for this tutorial, we're going to be using the rodent, the robot rodent. So he's nice and small, and he's also got some roundy bits, so it's useful for the purpose of this guide. So things when they come in from No Man's Sky might be grouped together, so I like to separate all the bits. Now you'll notice if I just try and move the legs, everything moves with it, and that's just because of how these things are grouped. I don't know how to ungroup them. If somebody does, you can mention it in the comments below, but it's not necessarily vital for what I'm about to do. So I'm just going to separate all the other bits. I keep them on the X and Y axis because a funny thing happens with the Z axis once you bring this into Blender, and I'll do a quick demonstration of that later when we get there. But for now, we're just going to keep things relatively close and just along the one axis, so we can realign them when we want to. The reason I'm separating them is because it just makes coloring them later much handier if you want to have them all colored. If they're all one group when you do this, it's going to make coloring very painful, paint by numbers kind of procedure. So I have everything separated in 4.2 the way I would like to, and just to show you again, everything still moves with these legs because they're bound together. Once that's done, I'm going to save that project, save it anything you want, and then you're going to want to bring it over into Blender 5.0 for the rest of the procedure. So once that's done, you're going to go into Edit and then into Preferences, and this is where you're going to get the add-on for Copy Attributes menu. This is pretty important. You're going to want that. I'm going to assume you already have the No Man's Sky Base Builder app. It's fairly straightforward and easy to install, and that will give you access to the asset browser. So you're going to want to open the No Man's Sky Base Builder plugin, scroll all the way down, and launch Asset Browser. This will bring up the window here shortly. It just takes a little while to load. Once it's there, I'm going to be using the sphere because it's best to use spherical objects for this kind of thing. You can use any object really, but you mess around with some things and you'll see why sphere might be the best thing for this, especially if you're doing an organic structure. So we've got our sphere in here. You can see that's its default size. It's quite big compared to everything else. That's as its default scale in the game as well. Oh, I did not mean to move it off the axis, but we'll just leave it there for now to the side. I like to make it a little smaller. So if you come over here to this pane here, you'll see there's a lot of windows here. You're going to be on the Object Properties one, which is this little square with the brackets around it. And I just changed this to usually to 0.1, sometimes 0.2. But for the purpose of this, I'm going to be putting it to 0.03, or let's just go 0.3 so we can still see it, because we're going to want to select it later. But I like to keep it down roughly close to a smaller size to what I'm going to be working with. So once we have our sphere in with all the other objects, we're going to go through each object and apply some geonodes. So we'll start with this bit here, because it's probably the best for the purposes of this demonstration, because you'll see it's hollow on the inside, and we don't want to fill the inside of it at all. You know, we just want to fill the face. So once you have your object selected, you want to go to Geometry Nodes, which will bring up this new window here, and you're going to want to hit New. So you'll see you've got an input and an output. We're going to add some little things to the chain here to do what we want to do. So the first thing you want to add is go to Add and go to Point, and you want points to faces. This is what will make sure it only goes to the faces. You don't want to fill the volume, because that's going to generate a lot more spheres, which won't be good for base uploading and that sort of thing. So distribute points on faces. You're going to want to, you see when I hover over this line here, it's going to automatically put everything where it needs to be, and that's important. You can do it manually later, but you know, save yourself some time. Just drop it on the line that's emanating from each input and output of your logic nodes here. So the next thing you're going to want is to add a instances node, specifically instances on points. And you just pop that down here, and you'll see everything's connected now, but nothing's happening just yet. Another little handy shortcut to know is, well, you can see actually it's disappeared, but your object that's selected, if you hit the period key on your numpad, it's going to focus on it. That way, when you spin around it, you're always focused on that piece. Now, the period key is context sensitive, so if we had, I'll show you later actually. So to make this reappear, we're going to need something to be our instance, which is where the sphere comes in. So we can just drag it down from the window here and into our geometry window. Now, I haven't connected it to this because I don't want it to be connected to any of these bits. What you want to do is you want to drag out from the geometry output and put it into the instance input on the instance on points, as you can see here. So now we've got these big spheres, and it's a bit weird looking. What you're going to want to do next is change the scale of your sphere. So I like to start down on the 0.0. You can do this two ways. You could make the model itself bigger in Blender, and then you could keep these at default to the way they are. But I like to work with leaving these as the default size and make the spheres smaller into the 0.0 section. So we're going to go with 0.03 for this tutorial. But you'll see now, not much is happening. I can now click on my thing. If I hit the period key, it's focused on all these spheres. Doesn't really make the shape we're hoping for. So what you want to do is go to here and check voice on disk. And this gives you some new options here. You're going to want to set the distance min to around the same size as your scale. So in this instance, it's 0.03. I like to add a little bit of a buffer. So I'll just go 0.033. And then you're going to want to raise the density max. As this raises up, you'll see your shape starts to fill out like so. And it just gets bigger and bigger. 500 is usually a nice little sweet spot. And then you can work back from there as you wish. Now you'll see some of the spheres are touching. So maybe 0.039 is a little better. But we're getting more gaps. It all depends on the kind of aesthetic you want to go with. I don't mind gaps so much. It kind of makes it look a bit more sculptory, and it's a nice aesthetic. You can also mess around with the seed down here to kind of change how these balls fill out your shape. And you'll see as well, it's still hollow on the inside, which is what you want, because you don't want to hit your 3000 base part upload limit immediately. So once that's in place and you've got your logic done the way you want it, you can also remove the density factor, which just kind of makes it a bit more hollow. Similar to the density max, but not exactly. And everything is set up the way I want it. You select all these, drag and click, and you want to go to node and copy, or you can hit Control-C, but I prefer to, for the purpose of demonstration, I'll just do it that way, especially if people don't know shortcuts. So this is copied now, and we can now apply it to all the other parts we want to apply it to. So you'll notice I can't paste into this yet, even though I have something to paste. I'm not sure how to get around this. If somebody knows, and you'll see I'm still hovering on this even though I have this selected, but if I hit the period key, voila, here we are. Scroll wheel, click to rotate, up and down to zoom in and out. Pretty handy. And this is the thing you want to move things along an axis. Again, try keep everything on the X and Y axis. Z axis causes some issues. Once you're realigning things back in the NMSDK Base Builder App, it kind of messes with the size and scale of your spheres for some reason. Anyway, so what we want to do to get this is just click New. We're going to move these two over here because we're not going to need them soon. And then we're just going to paste in what we copied earlier. Now, you'll see nothing has happened yet, and that's because I just have to delete these two first. And there we go. We got this little bit now covered in spheres. Again, if you want to change the size of the spheres for each bit, you can do that by just changing them here. And then just make sure that your distance min is close to what these are in scale. And again, you can change the density, bring it up more. Just for argument's sake, let's go 10,000. You'll see you get a really nice shape with that, but what you get then is something you'll never be able to upload to for people to see. So I'm gonna bring it back down to 500. You'll see you still get some of the shape. If you want, again, you can mess around with the seed a bit to try get back some more of that silhouette of the object. Just try to view it from different angles, etc. And we're just going to quickly do that to every single piece that we have. Oh, paste, delete, new, paste, delete. Now, these smaller bits can be trickier because, well, they're smaller. You might want to use maybe a different shape than a sphere for this part particularly. Just for argument's sake, but the problem with that is all the spheres will be the same rotation, so they'll all be face on, so you'll get this weird kind of pixelated kind of vibe. And then you'll have to go to new, paste. It's not too bad, like you could get away with that, but if you want, you can make them smaller for the thinner parts. That's what I tend to do. I might bring them down to 0.01. 0.01. That might be actually too small. Let's try 0.025. These decimals, they're very sensitive when you get to this size. Yeah, 0.025 might actually be better. Then you just want to make sure that's 0.02. We'll go 2.8, and we'll increase the density. With smaller bits, the smaller your ball gets, the more density you're going to need to put up. And you'll see it's not really having the effect we would like it to have. We'll just go back to 500. You can mess around with the seed again to try to get more of that shape back. So that's actually not a bad seed for those little bits. And the same applies for this. New, paste, dupe. This is going to be a tricky piece because it's quite small, but it's also quite complicated. So let's try 0.02. 0.02. Probably have to bring this up to like 5,000 just to even get it close to the shape. And then you can just sort of scale back, or you can remove the dent. No, that's not what I want to do. Let's try 2,500. That's a little bit more onto the shape that we want, but again, it's going to be a lot of balls. That's not too bad. And then the seed. Just so you don't get holes in the places you don't want them. And I might just bring this up to 0.023. Maybe more. 0.029. That's too much. You see what I mean? The decimal points, it gets very sensitive. So you might want to go 2, 3, and then a 5 or something. But we'll just go with 2, 4 for argument's sake. That's not too bad. There's not too many spheres there. So we have all our bits sphered up, ready to go. What you want to do now, because they're still just part of this node group, you'll see our window pane here isn't too busy. There's not much going on. I'm just going to switch back to the object properties because we'll need them soon. So we got our sphere that's here, and if you scroll down into when you're in object properties and you scroll down, you'll see custom properties, and these are the things you will need to copy over for the No Man's Sky Base Builder Plugin's export function to recognize all these new spheres we just made. Otherwise, I won't know what the hell they are. So we're going to select everything we've turned into spheres. Now this can slow things down big time depending on how many spheres you've made. I've made quite a lot just for the purpose of, like, this is definitely not going to be, it's going to be over the 3,000 part limit. But again, you tinker around with things, try different things out, and you'll see. I'll show you an example of one I made that's uploadable and quite complicated too shortly. So what you want to do is apply. Well, I'll just do that again. Select everything that you want to turn, not your sphere, just all your bits here. Go to Object and go to Apply, and then go to Make Instances Real. So this will make all those instances of the sphere real. And now you'll see we've got this, well, we've got a lot of things here. It's going to be really slow. I scroll down. I'm going to try not to break everything. But the handy thing is it's all selected for you. So while everything is selected, the next thing you're going to want to do is hit Shift and click this sphere. Now you'll see the sphere is a slightly different color selection than the other things. Basically, the light orange color is the last selected object, and you want the sphere to be the last selected object for the next step. So when you hit Control and C, it's going to bring up this window. That's because of the Copy Attributes plugin that is you should now have installed on Blender 5.0. It's not available on 4.2. But the SDK import for me doesn't work on 5.0.1, so that's why I'm using two versions. If you're not using the SDK, you can just completely do, you can do all your stuff in 5.0. So what you want to do is copy selected custom properties, and you want to click all of these. Timestamp object ID belongs to preset, order, user data, and snap ID. This is going to copy all of the special properties, the custom properties from the sphere, and apply them to all these new spheres that have just entered the fray. And you're going to hit OK. Once that's done, you click on this little arrow here. This will bring back up your access to the No Man's Sky Base Builder. You're going to want to hit Export No Man's Sky. And then you're going to want to go over to the Base Builder app, which I have open here somewhere. There it is. And you're going to want to go to New, and then import. You don't have to go to new. You can also just import, and import is a new tab down there. But just so I don't overwrite anything by mistake or add it to a scene I don't want to add it to, I'm just gonna open a new tab and do it this way. So once this is here, you just paste everything that you just copied from Blender and hit import. Now, sometimes a funny thing happens here, sometimes it doesn't. So Blender shortcuts are a little different than the base building app shortcuts, so just bear with me a second here while I try to remember what buttons do what. Okay, so you'll see everything's fine except this big sphere in the middle here wasn't in our project. Sometimes this big sphere will be there several times and it will be over each object. So you just want to click on the sphere and click on the sphere, and you can either move it out of the way or you can just delete it. So you'll see here now everything is in the base builder app, and there's all our spheres. Now we got lucky there. Our part count is 2,100, so we could bring this into a base, and we could then we'd have 900 parts left over to use before it's and it will still be in the upload limit. So you can have 16,000 parts in a base, and then that will hit your local limit. You won't be able to build any more bases or add any more parts once you hit. I think it's more than 16,000 now. It's changed a bit with Corvettes being added, but there's an upload limit, and that's 3,000. Any base that has more than 3,000 parts can't be uploaded to the servers and seen or shared by other players. You need to have someone in your group in order for them to see a base that's only available offline. So I like to try and keep these things a good bit below the part limit of 3,000. So just keep that in mind when you're making your own. So yeah, the reason I have everything separated. Sorry, I'm forgetting the buttons for the base builder app. I'm still in Blender mode. Here we go. So everything's separated, and that just makes it handy to color bits. So you can just select all the bits over here. Gonna make ourselves an orange guy. Stone has a nice, for the spheres, stone has a nice uniform color. The other ones kind of add rings to the tops and bottoms. But again, it's the aesthetic you're going to look for, or if you're going for a certain aesthetic, you might want to try different parts like the rust. Or this is a robotic part, so I'll go with rust, or its outer shell. And I'll try, I'm just going to mess around randomly with this. I'm not going to worry too much about colors. Let's just go with blue. I'm just going to pick some colors that kind of just make everything kind of stand out and pop for this tutorial. Now that everything is kind of together, or well, colored and separated, it's time to bring them back together. And this was the main reason why you just want to mess around with the X and Y axis for things, because it just makes moving them back in a lot easier. F is this F in the Base Builder app does the same as the period key on the numpad in the Blender app. So you can see I got this quite lined up. It didn't take too much trouble for me, but I kind of do it by eye. If I moved it on the X and the Y axis, this piece, like if I moved it across and then down, it would have been a bit trickier. I keep saying Y axis. This is the Z axis, or this is the Z axis. I don't know. The Y axis is up and down. That's what I meant. I always see up and down as the Z because my brain is stupid. Anyway, I'm sure these colors mean something. Like I said, I'm a total noob at this, so hopefully this helps also total noobs. So yeah, you can see everything's kind of lining up. It's got a little jacket on there. We just get the bee in his bonnet. It's like a little beehive bum. Shout out to Beeblebum, one of my favorite No Man's Sky YouTubers. He's shown me a lot of tricks with base building over the years. Pretty cool guy. You should go and watch his videos and subscribe. Yeah, that'll do. It's actually turning out better than I thought it would. And then we'll just go here. Now I used kind of the same, so yeah, we're gonna have a little bit of trouble here because it's such a thin part. And I think I used smaller. Well, yeah, I use smaller ones for that. So you get a problem when the smaller balls, sometimes the bigger spheres can overtake. It's just auto-saving now, so just going to take a second. There we go. Oopsie doodle, I lost my selection, and that's dangerous. So I just kind of Control Z back to where it was, because there'd be no way I'd be able to select all those spheres again. As handy as I can when I do it that way. So yeah, just while I have you here, you can see the larger spheres of this blue bit are eating up the smaller spheres of this. So I may have wanted to go with smaller spheres for this part where it interconnects with other parts, or maybe bigger spheres for this part. But again, it's all about experimentation, trying different things out. Or sometimes you might just want to go with that where the purple kind of peeks out a little bit there. So now we've got our little guy. As you can see, he's there. So we no longer need this sphere eater. We can get rid of that. And we've got our guy isolated. Just in case I mess up, I'm just going to save this real quick. Rodent. So yeah, here's the issue now. Let's say you wanted to make this guy's going to be as big as he is in the game. So this is actually quite small. It might seem big when you're zoomed in, but it's actually quite small. He's going to be like, your player character is going to be like this tall compared to him. He's going to be at your like knees or ankles at least. And if you wanted to resize him, it's not going to change their relation to each other. It's just going to resize the spheres as they are. So I'll just show you real quick. And you end up with this. This is kind of cool looking, but not what you want. So to get around that, what you want to do now is save this as a prefab. So we're just going to call it Rodent. We got our Rodent, and we're going to leave this guy here as he is. We don't need him right now. Probably never again, because we just saved the prefab. So we're going to bring him back into the project as a prefab, or you can go to your base project and bring him in that way. And the thing about prefabs is it when you scale them, it also scales their relation to each other. So you'll see here, it's a big purple guy at the moment. Don't worry about that. The colors are still intact, but the handy thing is you can scale it up and everything moves in relation to each other. You can make this as big as you want outside the boundaries of the No Man's Sky limitations too. You could have a giant one just sitting on the hilltop or something. You'll see our part count is crazy high. So we're just going to kill the original guy, bring it back down. I'm just getting a bit slow now. For reasons. Understandable reasons. Oh, it's actually auto-saving. That's what's happening. I probably should change the autosave frequency on this, but it kind of just stalls the thing for a while when that happens. I always think like, oh no, I've asked too much of it, but no, it is just autosaving. So we'll kill that little guy. We're back down to 2000. And you'll see this is still just one whole piece, and you'll see it says here, paste object to scene. And you could actually just leave that there, because for some reason, when the prefab is just there by itself and hasn't been pasted to scene, and you bring it into No Man's Sky, I think it still brings it over, or it's, well, you can see it's still counting towards the part limit anyway. So, sorry, change back to our selection here so we can move it around. And how do I, there we go. F to focus. So you paste object to scene. And we're just going to move this out of the way and delete it. And now we've got our giant guy. So let's just bring something in to just get an idea of how big this guy is right now. So yeah, you'll see here he's about 4 stories high to his body, and maybe 5 or 6 stories high when you count in his beeble bum. Calling it a beeble bum, that's what it is now. Sorry. Goddamn beehive bum. Right. And that's basically it. That's once that's done, then if you're gonna need the save editor. I assume anyone who's watching this knows about using the save editor. If you can do this on console too, if you've got the game on PC platform as well, and you have cross save enabled, you can bring your console save over to your PC and edit it with the save editor. You want to edit the raw JSON and just copy. So you just hit export to No Man's Sky, and then you'll paste it back into your JSON. Or if you have an existing base, for example, I've got this. I'm working on a Artemis 2 SLS build for the upcoming launch. It's gonna be fun. So if I wanted to bring the Beeblebum rodent into this, I could just go to prefabs, and he'd always be there now. Got myself a little friend. Not exactly the colors I want. He's very small over here. Let's get him over next to this. Bring him down. Bring his scale up. Bit. Okay, you can see I've gone way over the... I would not be able to upload the space if I put in my rodent friend. Well, if I get rid of this thing here, which I will be getting rid of, that's just... That was the prototype. It's too small. Made a better version over here. Need to get rid of that. Anyway, yeah, I could bring him to be as big as I tried to build the SLS to scale. So maybe they're launching away from Earth to get away from this guy. But anyway, just to show you one that I've already done that I have in game that looks quite fun to me. Artemis maybe typo on done. I don't know. That's the one. We'll just open Artemis. I made a giant Artemis. I'll be sharing this as a prefab on DJ Monkey's Discord. But just to give you an idea of what kind of things you could do with this. I got them just under 3,000 part count. I think actually I had an even better version with less bits that I added later. But yeah, that's the kind of things you can do with it. So go crazy, and Oh yeah, if anyone is wondering about how to get the SDK working for unpacking files, it was a bit of a headache for me. You can see here, I had to ask for some help. If you go to this link, I'll put it in the description as well. This will you'll see the process I went through just to get the models into Blender, because I was having trouble with it. And installing the SDK and unpacking things is all explained here. You can see me struggling, get through it, and then my relief when I finally get there. So feel free to follow along with that. Anything else I'm forgetting? I'm probably forgetting something. If you have any questions, just ask them in the comments. I'll do my best to. But the main thing is bringing your object in, using the geo nodes to apply the spheres, having the where is it gone? Preferences. The add-on, the copy attributes add-on. So when you hit Control-C after selecting your sphere last, you get the copy selected custom properties, because they are essential for getting all of this mess over into this mess. And again, these were all brought in as separate parts. I could show you that project real quick. Let's see, open recent. Artemis 400 3000 separated. That's the one. I'm not going to save my rodent. By rodent. Oh god, if I have to start this again, maybe I should have saved it. So you can see this was my Artemis before I imported it into Blender, and I went with kind of bigger spheres. You can see actually this isn't even the final one, because I definitely made the. I guess I didn't save the final one like a fool, but I was using way too many spheres. You can see the legs there and the body. They're a bit more gappy in this one. I went with a much more stylistic approach, and I didn't really need that many spheres to give the idea of the body shape. It's still got a bit of a butt there. The main thing with Artemis though is I was originally just going for the top half, and I got it there. So yeah, that is that. And now I'm going to go over here, and things are going to get crazy. I got to stop the recording, but yeah, I hope someone can follow that, and I hope that helps anyone with that sort of stuff. If anyone has any other cool tricks or ideas they've learned while doing this, feel free to just drop it into the comments. And yeah, happy building, travelers, and I'll see you around.